Well, let me just stop here. Sorry, we had a bit of a up and down start, and I'm plugged up and hooked up here, so I'm just going to stand close to the car and say good evening and hello. Welcome to the night drive. But those of you, or most of you I presume, that enjoyed the afternoon drive, I believe it was a fantastic one, lots of activity, and we are going to be heading back towards where Karula was, so hopefully we'll spend some time with a leopard tonight and see how that goes. We're live in the Sarbistan Game Reserve. On the vehicle with me, Leishan's behind the camera, busy sorting out a cable there, but it all looks ready. And excuse me, Peter Bright in final control. My name is Peter Pretorius. Thanks for joining us. Let's go look around. All good. Hey. Sorry guys, just give us 2 seconds, something with a monitor here that we want to try and sort out. See if we can do something here. Otherwise we'll just do a quick cutaway and try and sort it out. Sorry about that everyone, just something funny on the monitor there, but we'll try and sort it out.
We've got a picture.
All good. A bit sorry, we thought we'll give it another 30 seconds and then Leishan got it right. So we're all good to go, and it's going to be a fun evening. As I said, just now that we just on the drive and have that sorted out, we're going to be heading towards where Karula was just before the end of drive, so she should hopefully be around, and if we're lucky, spend some time with the leopard. We also have something else tonight that's sort of an extra addition into the night drive, and that is that we're going to be doing a link, or a hello if you want, or a practice run to Said in South America. Next week this time we'll be doing a bit of a low and I was going to say like a meet and greet almost if you want, to El Salvador, where there's a whole bunch of people that are interested in wildlife television and broadcasting, and we're going to just do a bit of a practice run on that as well. So thanks for being part of that with us tonight. I'd also like to invite any and all of you to join us next Tuesday evening for that. And of course lots of game drives in between and lots of activities in between. We've had a phenomenal few days with leopard and lots of things going on the last couple of days. It was colder earlier than it is now. It's still cold, but almost as if it's pretty cold. Wearing jackets and everything, but
You're sitting nice and snug down there. I'm getting all the wind.
no, this is not to turn this into a personal discussion, but just for the sake of everyone else in the vehicle. You can't hear Leishan, but she's saying that she's cold. But I'm looking back now, and I distinctly remember saying, Leishan, you must take something extra warm, because what you're wearing now is fine, but you must take another jacket.
Please, Dad. Sorry, I'm not in contact with Dad.
I'm sorry, Nisha, but I don't see the other jacket that I specifically remember mentioning to you. So, what did you say? Are you cold up there?
It's the one that you have.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Don't worry, we won't be driving around too much. Cool, thanks, Pete. Well, in the meantime, I'm just going to say hello. Yeah. Perfect. Just a little bit of breakup on the radio there, but as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing a bit of a sort of, let's call it a live rehearsal. So it's all part of the live fun drive tonight. But I just want to say hello to Saeed now that I know you're on the vehicle with us. Saeed, pleasure to have you on the game drive vehicle with us, and look forward to what we're going to be doing next week as well. And in the meantime, I hope you're going to just enjoy the wildlife aspect as well, apart from everything else we're going to be trying tonight. And as luck would have it, I don't want to promise anything, touch wood and all that, because you can never promise with wildlife, but we should be able to spend some time with a leopard tonight, and not just any leopard, a specific leopard that's a very I was going to say important character, which is certainly true, but also a very character that's close to many of our hearts. People that have been coming on drive with Wild Earth for a few days or weeks, and certainly many of us that have been coming on drives for a few months and years, gotten to know Karula well, and we're going to be able to spend some time with her tonight, hopefully. But we'll know that in the next literally 4 or 5 minutes. We're not far from there now. It's like a blanket, Lucian. Oh, you're right. Sort of a careful look around here, although Abel, who was the last guide at the sighting, was going to leave a little mark for us in the road, so we should find it easy enough. It's close to where we are now. Oh well. This is actually one of the places she's had kills in before in this area. Actually, a number of times. Don't drive underneath her. Interesting smells, huh? So look around carefully. Also, Abel was saying earlier there were a couple of hyenas lurking around. Excuse me. Aha! Oh well. I've spotted part of what we're looking for, but no leopard. No leopard yet. That would suggest a number of things. Let me just turn around here so we can show you. Make sure she's not on the ground. I did sort of half suspect that she might not be here, partly because old Murphy does tend to go along and drive with us sometimes, and I was a little bit too sure of it earlier when I said that. Wait, quickly check that. Try the other camera again. There we go. I'm going to show you where the carcass is. Where is it? Up to the left a little bit. More left, other left. There we go. In that fork. It's going to be a little bit difficult to make out. A bit more left in that fork, yeah. You're of course looking at it in the infrared light, so it's all in black and white and a little bit difficult to make it out. But as I was saying, as Murphy would have it, Karula's moved off now. I don't think she's moved that far, because for those of you that joined us in the morning drive, we saw the two cubs, Duna and Misha, her two cubs, and we had an absolutely incredible time with them. And it's not that far from here. In a straight line, it's probably, well, a kilometer at the most, maybe less. So my suspicion is that she's got the kill up there. It's safe enough. She's had a little bit to eat earlier, and she's probably headed off to go and find the cubs and bring them back. That would be my guess. I've looked around now. I don't see any hyenas around, so obviously the hyenas have decided that that kill is safe up there. They're not going to get anything. As soon as the leopard left, they might have left. They might come back again later at night, as I also expect her and the cubs to come back. So we've got two things to do. The one is that we are going to find her if we can. I'm going to go look for her. Also head off towards where the cubs were. We could find them en route, or maybe find her where the cubs were with them, or possibly gone for a drink at Treehouse Dam. We'll try that as well. The other thing is that we are going to still do this, let's call it a rehearsal. It's always strange to call that, because it's all part of just what we're doing at the moment. But we are going to do a couple of practice runs, so to speak, with Sahid for next week. So Pete, just let me know if you want to try this, or shall we look for Karula a little bit more? How's our time frame? We'll just drive around a little bit. Peter's going to check for us. We might do a bit of a practice run here. For the moment, let's just see if we don't spot something, maybe just lying around taking a rest. I think we'll find her either at the waterhole or towards where the cubs are, one of the two. Alright, we are going to go look around a little bit. As I said, there's two places I want to look. The one is Treehouse Dam, which is quite close by. It might be that she's gone for a drink of water. If there's nothing there, we'll go past Twin Dams, which is the other dam that's close by. They're both sort of equidistant from here. And then if nothing's found en route, we'll go to where the cubs were. I think that whole exercise, just to give everyone, but especially for Sahid, who's sort of standing by as well, an idea of how long that'll take. Did I just drive myself off the tracks here? Oh, that way. So we should be able to check all of that in about 15 minutes or so. And then if we don't find her, then we'll head to the hyena den. Checking the tracks here. I don't see any tracks heading towards Treehouse Dam, so is hyena tracks. Another set of hyena tracks, no leopard tracks. I think in order to save a bit of time, I don't think she's gone to Treehouse Dam, because she would have walked on this road if she did. Find the tracks there quite easily, so we'll head towards Twin Dams. We'll go towards where the cubs were this morning. Thank you, Pete. Sorry, just repeat the name for me. It was just breaking up a little bit, the radio. All right. Well, brilliant. We've got a question from Osiris is asking. Well, first of all, I presume it's your first time on Drive with us, Osiris. So welcome. It's always nice to know when there's people on their first game drive with us. There's also many people on the drive tonight with us that's been coming on Drive for a couple of years. So yeah, it's always a nice aspect of the experience. But Osiris was just asking how many cubs leopards have a year. Well, let's have a quick sort of look at the lifeline of leopard cubs, or of how a female would have the cubs. Typically they have 2 cubs, sometimes 3. So 2 cubs, sometimes more, but typically 2 cubs, sometimes just 1 cub. And they will have those roughly every 2 to 2.5 years, depending on conditions and resources and so on. Wait, sorry, just saw some eyes and I want to have a quick look. This is a very thick area. So I've already lost the eyes today. Oh, brilliant. Hey! Yes, that's a lucky spot. We could so easily have missed that. So guys, we're not going to see them, but I just spotted a little leopard on the other side of this thicket. That was very lucky that we saw that. And it would be either her or maybe her and the cubs, but they were heading towards that tree. So we're going to head back, and our search for the leopard might be over quicker than I thought. So serious, just to finish up your question is, let's say every 2.5 years. Now this leopard once she has her cubs, in this case Karula, the one we're hopefully going to see just now, she's got 2 cubs now. It's her second litter, and then she'll spend about 18 months to 2 years raising those cubs. So when they get to about 20 months, 22 months, maybe 24 months old, they will become independent. She'll be on her own for a little while, normally not too long. She'll go into estrus again, onto heat, and then mate to the male, and then about 3.5 months later, just over 100 days gestation period, she'll have the next litter. So it's not every year that they've got cubs. It's only every 2 to about 3 years, depending on the condition of the female, and also obviously how much food there is. If there's lots of food and lots of water, then they can have cubs a little bit more frequently, maybe every 2 years. If it's harsh conditions, maybe every 3 years, 4 years even. But the specific leopard in question, Karula, is still a young female. This is only her second litter of cubs. She's raised a previous litter, both cubs, successfully. We see them still as well. They've now gone independent, 2 female cubs. Let's get through the dip here. I actually want to hurry up. It would be great if we could get there. Let's take this next turn. If we could get there before they get there, so that we can see them climbing up the tree. But yeah, her previous cubs, 2 females, the Sept in Ghana. We got to know them quite well. And then she subsequently had the 2 males in Duna and Misho, which we'll talk about hopefully more just now if they are there. But that we'll know about in a second. If it was a little bit informal, all of this, Sahid, I want to apologize for it. We were going to make a formal welcome to the Andina link and all our Latin American viewers that are joining us. That'll of course be next Tuesday in El Salvador. But then we had all the excitement of the leopard not being here, and trust me, now we've got the excitement of the leopard being back. And maybe it's not her and the cubs, maybe it's just her at the moment. Or maybe it's just, well, let's have a look. Brilliant. I'm just going to turn around, Leishan, so it's a bit more comfortable for you as well. Otherwise, you're sitting at funny angles, awkward angles. But in the end, the nature of life is that you have all these sometimes unexpected things happening. Oh, I can see another one. Brilliant. Okay. Let's just first get the best view of this one that's feeding. Oh, it's going to drop the carcass. Oh, don't drop it. Oh, this is one of the youngsters. Alright, now just to mention a couple of things. Firstly, I've just switched off the spotlight. So what we're looking at now is to our naked eye total darkness. This is infrared lights. Sorry, Pete, say again. Let's see what this leopard does. We're sitting at a bit of a sort of back angle from it, as you can see. We're looking at the tail, but suddenly I've got so many things to talk about. But let me finish my first point. It's quite cool actually that we can sit here, as I said, in pretty much darkness around us. There's no spotlights or anything on this leopard at the moment, only the infrared light. So from the leopard's point of view, from our point of view, and if there were anything else around like hyenas or something, there's no unnatural light that's bothering them now. It's darkness. So that's something that's quite good to note or good to be aware of. And it basically just means that we've got an even less intrusive window into the night than we would with spotlights. Even the animals are used to spotlights in this reserve. It is nice to have this ability. Now from another point of Cool. Now from a animal point of view, I've only seen two, but I'm sure Karula would be here as well. So it should be that all three of them are here. The other two are somewhere here next to us in the darkness on the ground. She's obviously gone to fetch them. Go again, Pete. Well, thank you very much. Maria Sanchez, also from the Andina Link in South America, asking a couple of questions there. So I'm going to sort of answer them in discussion form. Maria was just asking what the leopard's eating, how much they eat, how quickly they eat it, if they store the food. Let's just quickly give you a breakdown. As I was saying, there's three leopard here. The one we're looking at now, I can't tell you which one of the two cubs it is, but we'll try and see that when we get a chance. It's either Misho or Nduna, so it's a young leopard, which is why that carcass almost fell out the tree. With an experienced adult, they don't make that mistake easily. In this specific case, there's no hyenas around that we could see, but there were some earlier. There might be some again later. And if that carcass falls, then that carcass could be lost very easily. So they do store the food in that sense. In other words, they take it up in trees, not always, but typically, to avoid other things from stealing it from them. Other things being mainly hyena, sometimes lion. And in terms of how quickly they eat it, it depends largely on the size of the carcass and also how many leopards you have. Leopards are typically solitary animals, but in this case obviously mother and two big and growing cubs, they eat about the equivalent of what, or 3 times of what mum would eat. So they would finish this deka probably by tomorrow. One cub is eating now, a little bit later he'll finish, the other one will come up and feed. Karula typically waits for them to finish, then she'll have some. And between 3 leopards they'd be able to finish this quite quickly. What they're eating, the species of this, is a grey duiker or a common duiker. It's sort of a small antelope. This is an adult, but it's a small antelope species. And as you can guess from the name, they're fairly common around here. And it's actually one of the prey species that leopard in general, but specifically Karula, the female that killed this, hunts quite often. So something they eat every so often. And how long they'll be here, as I said, difficult to say exactly, but I'm hoping until maybe tomorrow afternoon, maybe even tomorrow night. Also, they are quite full. They had a good meal only a couple of days ago, and also this morning we saw the 2 cubs, and Misho, one of the cubs, had killed a genet, which is like a nocturnal mongoose almost, or like a ferret almost. And not that it's much food, but they would have eaten some of that as well. So they're fairly full, which means they won't be able to gorge themselves on a large volume of food like they normally would. Can you maybe see which leopard it is, Lucia? No, I just thought you might be able to. Oh, we can get a bit closer. Misha, maybe?
I think that's in dinner.
Duna, maybe. You've got a better screen there than I do. A little difficult for me to see.
No, I think that's in dinner.
I think it's Nduna.
I think so.
Well, actually, if I may ask, those of you that know these leopard well, Colleen or Karen or Claire or anyone, there's many of our friends and viewers around the world that have come to know these cats well. If you've got a bigger monitor that you're looking on, maybe you can give us an ID. Well, we've got a number of questions coming in from the Andina Link group tonight, and I have to apologize to all of you if I sound a little bit formal with you. I'm so used to not thinking of people on Drive With Us as an audience of viewers, because it is very much a personal experience. The ability to ask questions and interact and talk about things as we're doing now makes it very personal. So Maria is just asking how long these cubs will stay with their mother before they become independent. And Maria, thanks for asking a question, and hello to everyone else that's there with you as well. These guys around 2 years old, as I was saying earlier, typically female will spend about 2 years raising cubs, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, before they become independent. So in this specific case, these two males, they're about almost a year old now. Alicia, the sort of middle November was we don't know exactly when they were born, but we've got it down to within about a week or two. So around middle November last year they were born. So they're just under a year old now, and that means we should be able to still spend the next year with them, with their mother, before they then become independent. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, is that we still see the previous cubs, in other words Karula, which we'll hopefully still see. She's somewhere in the grass here next to us. Karula had two female cubs previous to this litter, and they're still around now. With leopard, the female cubs more often will stay in the general area, even though they are territorial, so they won't stay in their mother's area, but they might stay close by, and therefore we could see them, if we're lucky, for the next 5 or 10 years still, maybe even longer. In the case of males, in other words, in the case of this guy and the other one, when they reach independence, 2 years, a little bit more maybe, they should move out and move away from the area, even if it takes them maybe a little bit longer, and then we'll be, shall I put it, unlikely to be able to follow them as we do with the younger female cubs. No, I forget that it's different monitors. Well, Sandy, this is this morning was an interesting example of what you're asking. Sandy's just asking whether leopards will teach their cubs or the young ones to hunt and to get their food, or whether it's purely instinct. I think there's a little bit of a combination of the two. Sandy, oi, look at that. Almost dropped the food there again. Now again, this brings me back to this morning's experience, and something worthwhile to consider. Again, for everyone at the Andina Link, but also for those of you that missed the morning drive, is that everything we see gets archived. So if you want to go have a look at some of the things I mentioned about this morning, it might drop this carcass, huh? this morning's drive we were lucky to find these two cubs, and the one was busy practicing exactly this. It had a small carcass of a genet, and it was putting it up in the tree and dropping it and putting it up and dropping it and running around and doing it again, basically practicing how to sort of stash the food. Hey?
It's almost like he's asking for help.
Yeah, he's like, what do I do next? I'm still young. Yeah, no, I just want to see where the other ones at the bottom are. Oh, look at that. Yeah, no, keep going, Pete. I'm just saying this is very exciting. It's going to fall. It's going to fall. Okay, cool, Pete. Sandy, I'm going to finish your question just now as well, but this is now very close to falling. I don't think this cub is experienced enough yet to keep that food up there. Look at that. Tail is using to balance, the claws are holding onto the carcass. Well, maybe this is all experience. So Sandy, we'll talk more about the ability to learn hunting. But once you've hunted, you also...
Yeah, I know.
Wait, look at this. Wait, look at that. Quickly, another leopard up the tree. Look at that, huh? Yo, and another one. 3 of them. Look at that. Sure, that was quick, huh? That was partly... That would be Mum that brought it up. She's just so quick to react. Hey? That was very quick, huh? Yes, that was in split seconds. I mean, Mum grabbed it, she took it up. She doesn't know for a fact that there's no hyenas around. Even though we can't see them, there might be some at any second. So she grabbed the carcass so that it doesn't get stolen by a hyena, took it up, and the other cub also followed her immediately, just because that sound of the carcass dropping could have brought hyenas in if they were around, and that would partly be unfortunate if the food's lost, but it would also be potentially dangerous for the cubs. So there you can see now we've got 3 leopard up in a tree, and this is in itself a sight that is extremely special to see. It's not often or common for us to see this many leopard together. I don't mean for us, I mean for anywhere in the world. Look at that. Yeah, this is unbelievable. I mean, I've spent by now well over 10 years in the bush, and it's only on the odd occasion you get to see a sight like this. This is very, very special. Look at that. Mother in the middle, 1 cub either side. And to maybe just come back to your question quickly, Sandy, we've got some other questions we're going to get to shortly, but the mother would teach them to hunt, as she would just now teach them, keep that food up in the tree. That's a lesson that they've just learned once again. But there's some instinct as well. This morning we saw the cub playing with the little carcass, putting it up in the tree, dropping it down, putting it up in the tree, and so on, in order to practice the ability how to balance the carcass, how to wedge it in the fork of a tree. And the same would go for hunting. The genet that they were playing with, they would have hunted themselves. And there's obviously a great deal of instinct involved, but there is also learning. In other words, the mother will sometimes bring young animals back for them to practice catching and killing. And as she did now, she very quickly grabbed the carcass. That was amazing, huh, Lisha?
Amazing. But she grabbed and she actually, it was like she was running up the trunk. What happened? It doesn't show on the monitor.
Yeah, some snarling going on. Look at that sight. Unbelievable. A bit of snarling going on there. I think Mum is just expressing her, how should we put it, displeasure at that carcass being dropped. She's sort of communicating to them that, hey, you could have lost us our food. It was hard work hunting this. All in the process of learning. Little one at the bottom here trying to start eating again. Sure, the sounds alone were incredible. As they scampered up that tree, the sound of the bark scratching and the nails digging into the bark as they were climbing. Unbelievable. Oh. I just want to express once again how awesome it is, how very special and even rare it is to see 3 leopard up in a tree like this. Now, one of the amazing things about Sabi Sands, the reserve we find ourselves in, where Juma is and other areas around us, is that it is truly one of the best, if not maybe the best place in the world to see leopard especially. I mean, Big Five, we've got lion here, elephant, buffalo, rhino, variety of wildlife. We've had some sort of races recently between the presenters. We counted on one drive we had 20 mammals, on other occasions with bird life and stuff like that, up to 50 or so in a few hours drive. So very wide variety of wildlife. But one of the things that ultimately makes the Sabi Sands incredible is this, what we're looking at right now, the ability to get close to leopard and then behaving pretty much as if we weren't here. Whether we were here or if we weren't here, they would have done exactly the same thing. So we get to see totally natural behavior, unbothered or uninterrupted by our presence. And above and beyond that, to see 3 of them on a branch like this, literally only some meters away from us, maybe 5 meters, 6 meters away from us, we're talking about 20 feet or something like that, it's a big pleasure. Peter, I think there were some other questions before all the excitement started happening. Yeah, I think so as well. Linda's question was just regarding Karula and the cubs and the food and the interaction, and I think we sort of talked through that now as it was happening around us here. Oh, look at that view. Hey? Yeah, she's a little bit. You guys mustn't do that again. Don't drop the food again. Yeah, and you do get the impression that Mum's not happy with the youngsters, huh?
Oh, especially not this one over
Yeah, the one that dropped it.
here.
Yeah. Very much so, huh? Actually, well observed there. If you think of this from a behavioral point of view, which is what Leishan just pointing out now, is that the leopard on the left, which I think is Induna, Leishan had a look earlier, he was eating all by himself. In other words, he had that carcass to himself, the sort of the space to feed it by himself. He then dropped it. Karula very quickly grabbed it and scampered up the tree with it so as to avoid the potential of it being stolen by other predators that might be around. You never know. And then Misho, the other cub, also joined. And subsequently she's allowing the cub that joined second to feed now. But she is... Sorry, I've got a sneeze. Excuse me. A bit of a sneezing today. And but she is clearly showing her displeasure towards Induna, the one that dropped the carcass. So maybe coming back to your question from earlier, Sani, just that there is a definite learning curve in this as well. She is definitely teaching them things as it goes along. You can see that one is just digging into the carcass. Now these cubs are growing at the moment, so as they're getting physically bigger, their appetites are also growing, and they're also growing very fast. I mean, I hadn't seen them for a couple of weeks, having been away just recently on our break. And coming back, suddenly they were almost the size of mum, and quite soon they'll actually be bigger than the mother. With leopard, there's quite a large difference between male and female. Big male leopard can weigh up to about 70, 80 kilograms, even more. So the size of a sort of a fairly fit, or fairly, what shall I put it, sort of average to heavy man. So let's say 70 to 90 kilograms, 180 to 200 pounds. For a female leopard, 25 to 35 kilograms. Less than half of a big male. Karula is not a very big female. I'd put her in the 30, 32 kilograms, maybe in that area at the most. Point being that even as youngsters, these male cubs, when they're 16, 18 months old, before they become independent, they will be physically much larger than mum.
It's amazing how she got the pinnacle.
Brilliant, thank you, Pete. And Saeed, if we can catch you before you go, I'm very glad you could join us for a special night with these leopard. Hope you enjoyed it personally, and look forward to what's going to happen next week as well. Alright, well, for everyone else on drive with us, we're going to move along and go see if we can find anything else.
Let's go.
Yeah. Alright, so we go look for some impala. I saw a nice big herd of impala sleeping on quarantine. Alright, let's go see if we can find them.
For some mongoose or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or alternatively, let's see if we get any other suggestions. We could perhaps just sit here for another while and see these leopard.
There was like a fight or flight reaction, hey? When that carcass hit, and because she literally, to pull that carcass, but she was running up the trunk with the whole weight of the carcass, carrying the whole weight of the carcass with her.
Yeah, no, she was literally running with it.
Yeah, it was like adrenaline.
I just thought I heard another grunt. Sorry, I'm just going to look around here. It might have been from the leopard, but it sounded, I thought maybe a hyena has arrived. But yeah, as Leishan was saying there, it was extremely quick. It's almost as if she was waiting for it. Well, in fact, she would have been waiting for it. At least he didn't drop it sort of without warning. Though he did give her some warning. It was dangling from his claw for a while. So I'm sure she was sitting underneath just waiting for it to drop. But he's clearly been reprimanded. He's out on a limb there now. Excellent. We've had one good suggestion. I was going to head for impalas on quarantine, but Emily suggested we stay with the leopard.
But that's only one person.
That's only one person, yeah.
Really, come on.
Well, she is our boss, so I guess that would add into it. Okay, we'll sit with 3 leopard up in a tree right next to us.
Oh, look at that face, eh?
Yeah, look at that. Eh? That's the.
Is that Misha, eh?
Let's get a bit. How close can we get to his face? He's just going to try and get an idea. Maybe it was Misha. Maybe all his practicing didn't help. I'm going to try and get a close look there. Let's, as I said earlier, if someone can get a very clear ID. Yeah, it looks like Misha. I mean, there's so many different little marks, but there's this one little
Yeah, it's Misha.
V at the eye. Yeah.
It's Misha.
Oh, shame. It's Misha that dropped it.
Shame, man.
We were giving Induna the blame the whole time.
But look at his stance. He looks like a naughty. He looks like he's in the corner.
Yeah, no, he is. He's been sent to the corner, huh? Shame. And he was practicing so hard this morning, huh? He was running up and down in the Jennett. He was doing it. I mean, he must have tried many times. Now, this is actually raises.
A really good confidence day. You know, he was king of the mountain.
Yeah, he was.
Now he's like
I'm never gonna drop the carcass again. Sorry, and all that talking, Pete, can you just repeat Dave's question for me, please?
What is it?
Oh yeah.
Hello everyone, this is Pete speaking from Final Control. As I told you earlier, we had some problems with the battery charging today. So this was the top bank that we used, which lasted us about an hour and a bit. We expect that maybe we've got about 20 minutes in the bottom bank, which actually we weren't going to use because to save batteries. But given that we've got 3 leopards in the trees, obviously we're going to stay with the leopards and use our batteries as long as we can. Also, I didn't cut back to Gauri Dam yet, but I figured even if it's a still picture, you might prefer seeing 3 leopards in a tree versus a waterhole without animals. So, but Peter and Lieschen are powering up, and yeah, I think this should give you time for screenshots, and pretty soon hopefully the picture will start moving again, and then we'll see what the leopards have been up to.
Well, welcome back. So we would have a bit of a sudden picture disappearance there from the batteries. We've changed banks, and as I said in the beginning when we got here, and I mentioned that Murphy sometimes comes along and drive with us, he seemed to disappear again when we had that very, very lucky moment with spotting Karula and them heading over here. And in fact, we actually would have missed all of this if it wasn't for that bit of luck. But I guess what I'm trying to say about Murphy is that we don't have as long battery life to our disposal tonight as we'd normally like to. So we're going to see how long we can get out of the second bank. I'm guessing 10-15 minutes. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe a bit longer, maybe a bit less, but we are going to go as long and as far as we can go with all the power we have available. Obviously, this is just such a special sight. See 3 leopard up in a tree like this. And just to answer your question, David Hill was just asking earlier, what's the heaviest carcass that a leopard's ever taken up a tree that's known? Poor Dave, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I've seen a young giraffe up in a tree, a photograph. I didn't see it myself, but that must have been, trying to guess it. It was probably wasn't a very old calf. It was quite a young calf. I'd say maybe 3-4 months if I remember the picture correctly. But that should probably be in the region of 80-100 kilograms maybe. I don't know if any of you have ever picked up 100 kilograms. It's quite a lot. To imagine a leopard taking it up a tree is almost unimaginable. I've also seen, again, not a fully grown or an adult kudu cow, but like probably an 18-month, 2-year-old kudu calf. Again, I would put that probably at the weight of around 80 kilograms, maybe a bit more, 100 kilograms maybe. So they can take very heavy carcasses up. In other words, they can take things their own body weight or twice their own body weight up trees. As we all know, leopards are incredibly powerful animals, but also very athletic. Their ability to maneuver and to move, and maybe even more importantly, their ability to balance is unbelievable. And for climbing things, climbing trees or climbing anything, balance is probably more important than strength to a large degree. So the ability for them to balance using that long tail is quite important. And what I was building up to earlier, just with poor little Misho there on the side, like Lishan was saying, it looks like he's been sent to the corner after dropping the carcass. And Induna and Karula feeding now, but he was doing a lot of practicing this morning, and hopefully he will be doing a lot of practicing down the line as well. But over time I've seen various leopards, and some leopards take their food up into trees quite a lot, and some leopards don't take it up into trees all the time. So it makes me wonder if there isn't some ability linked to it as well. Some leopards maybe learn that better, either by instinct or maybe by practice, and some others maybe learn it less well. I'm hoping for Misho's sake he gets better at it, so that he doesn't have to be stuck in the corner too often down the line. I feel bad for him. Well, I'm glad we had more coming in. It seems everyone's happy to stay with the leopards. Brilliant. I enjoy the banter and fun going on in the vehicle. Yeah, we'll stay with the leopards. We'll look for impalas tomorrow. Quite an incredible view with the naked eye as well. Apart from the infrared light view, keep in mind that on night drives, when you're looking at a sighting like this, I see pretty much exactly what you're seeing at the moment. Only difference maybe being that I'm seeing it on a smaller screen than you are. But in tonight's case, we've got a bit of a moon there behind the clouds somewhere. I can't see the moon, but it's producing enough light that it's giving a bit of a sort of a tinge to the clouds, and it's in the direction of the leopard. So from where I'm sitting looking up at those leopards, I can see the silhouette of the bare branches of this marula tree and the 3 different leopards sort of draped over it. So it's quite a sight as well, just looking up at the tree. It's unbelievable. I mean, I can hear them chewing, Every time they move, I can hear the scraping of nails across the bark. Incredible. There's Induna having a meal. Look at that Karula sleeping next to the head of the duiker. Actually quite a interesting picture, that. And Misho also sleeping. He'll get a turn again. I don't think Karula is permanently upset with him. She was just trying to teach him the lesson. Now, is he finished? Hey, oh, that's beautiful. Look at the shape of the branch and the leopard's feet. Stunning view of Induna. There's that long tail I was mentioning, balance being very important for all your cats, lions and cheetah as well, all the smaller cats, but for leopard especially, because they're so active up in the trees. Yeah, just about the crop of the shot, but that's cool. So one of the other things I love about leopard is their ability to make a tree branch look as comfortable as the best mattress or the best pillow in the world. You see Misha just draping himself over this branch. Or trying to, at least. Is it? It's actually true. I didn't even notice that. It looked like he was just shifting his balance, but as Lucian's pointing out there, you can see he's actually gotten a bit closer to Mum. He's sort of trying to, make peace. Yeah, it's like the elephants when they eat closer and closer to the car, and they're eating a branch, but they're not really eating a lot. It's more just the pretense of what you're doing actually to achieve something else. And in Misha's case, he just wants to edge up close to Mum again, saying, "I'm sorry, I won't drop the food again. Can I have another bite, please?" It's interesting as well that Karula is literally holding the carcass in the way she's lying now. I think one of the things I've certainly learned, maybe especially more the last couple of years with Wild Earth rather than with guiding before, and it's because there is more time to really focus on the behavior, is that animals think a lot more than we realize. And in my early days of guiding, I thought about this as well, but when you're still new to something, you learn a lot of theory and information, and you apply that to what you see, and in that process you gain experience and understanding. And then as you have more time to do so, you understand more and more of this. Yeah, she's awake again. But the point is that animals do a lot of things with very definite thought behind it. And especially when you get to know individuals, maybe like we have, certainly in the case of Karula that we're looking at now, you see that more and more. So, and you can see the way she's wedged the carcass there. First of all, that she's got experience in doing it. And secondly, that she's decided, well, I'm going to make sure it stays here. Even if the cubs are eating on it, I'm not going to let it fall again. I don't want to get tangled up in hyenas around the bottom of the tree if they suddenly arrive or something like that. I want to make sure we can stay up here where we're safe and where we can keep our food secure. Fine. I can see. Yeah, I guess that's maybe a worthwhile point. The chat room there, I think it was Sharon that was mentioning, and Pitt saying as well, maybe the reason for it. Sharon was just asking why Karula was staring at us a bit, like she was looking at Leishan or at the camera. It could well be that Pitt was saying there. Maybe she's wondering why we don't have a spotlight on. We've been sitting here for however long now and we haven't had a spotlight on them. There's something really great in the infrared lights. It means that from a nocturnal point of view, we're not intruding in any way whatsoever. It also means that if we did come across something like a cheetah or wild dogs, or for that matter things like impala and zebra, diurnal animals, we could actually watch them without interfering like we would be doing if we had normal spotlights on them. What's he doing? Oh, he dropped it as well. Wait, and the rest of the carcass almost going. He's grabbed it. Let's see if we can hold on to it. Karula's gone. Is that Karula going down now for the other piece that's dropped? Oh, more snarling. More snarling going on. Not happy with that. At least in this case it wasn't Misho. right next to us. I mean, you can hear the pause as it lands in the sand. Now, lucky for them, there aren't hyenas. If there were hyenas, of course, then the hyenas would snap those things up as soon as they land on the ground. And the leopards wouldn't be able to go and retrieve it. So, easy night for them tonight, but again, the lessons that they have to learn from this are important. This time around, Misho is innocent. His paws didn't play a role in the last dropping of the carcass. Plus a little bit of track who was who there. Lucian, could you keep up? Or not sure if it was Karula that jumped down or Induna that jumped down. When that carcass was busy falling, got a bit mixed up. I think it's Induna that's on the ground that we're looking at now, and Karula that stayed up there, but I could be wrong. Sorry? I think that's Induna. I think you're right, actually, looking at the head shape now. So maybe Induna that's up there and Karula that's jumped down. I love the shape of those branches as well. Perfect V. Does look like him, yeah. Still eating. Where's she gone? Have a look around on the ground here next to us. Oh, there she is. Just looking around for some of the fallen down pieces. Oh, a bit of movement. Misha getting closer. Not getting much headway there. I think Induna's thinking back to this morning when Induna wasn't allowed close to where Misha was playing with that Janet carcass, and now the behavior is returned. You can see Induna down there. Big snarls. Doesn't want Misha close by. Oh, and we're going to stay as long as we can, but I'm hearing beeping. We are on the newer bank of the two banks, so normally it gives us a bit longer warning, so we might get a few more minutes. I'm not going to talk about the batteries too much, but we are going to stay with this leopard up until we've got no more power. But just in case it catches... Oh, look! Oh, look at that, huh? Yo! Sure. Sheesh, like... taking each other on there. I mean, high up in the trees. They're high up enough that they could hurt each other, or could hurt themselves if they fall down. Misha's gone right out onto the tip of the limb. Induna back to the carcass, so a bit of a dominant struggle there, obviously the food being the center point of it. But I think they would have stopped there. It's not a fight, it's just a sort of heat of the moment clash, if you want. I'm sure those of you that have got siblings understand. Yeah, that was quite dramatic. Seems to be over now though. At a couple of stages there, one or both of them almost out the tree. Karula's down here. Where is she? Let's see if I can find her with the spotlight. Oh, guys, we're going to have a few more seconds. Thank you very much for a spectacular night tonight. We're going to stay as long as we can, but I hear the beeping increasing fast now. It has been absolutely awesome. Karula and the two cubs up in the tree, all the activity going on. Everything you could hope for and more from a night drive. Let's enjoy the last few minutes of it. Excuse me, sorry, that sneeze snuck up on me as well. More snarling. Oh, that was very, very cool.
Evening everyone, Pete from Final Control. As you can see, the picture froze unfortunately. What we're gonna do is just our very, very last attempt. The top bank has now been resting for about 20-25 minutes, so we're just gonna switch back to the top bank. If anything, we're only gonna get a couple of minutes from it, but we're just gonna give you everything we've got, and then unfortunately Peter and Lieschen will have to go back. But I think you all agree that even if they have to go away now, it's been I think it must be one really of the top leopard sightings ever. Well, unfortunately, there wasn't enough juice left in the top bank to give us a couple more minutes, so that's gonna have to be the end of the night drive for tonight. But I think we've packed more than 1.5 hours than you normally get out of night drive in 2. So it's been fascinating. Unfortunately, the batteries lasted long enough to see both the falling carcass and definitely the struggle or the interaction between Michu and Induna. That was quite fascinating, and well done to Lishan for moving the camera quick enough to show it to us properly. So enjoy. I'm gonna cut back to the waterhole sounds, and yeah, I hope to see you all tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock Central African time for our morning drive again. So thank you for watching. I'm gonna sign off, grab myself some dinner, and yeah, get ready for the morning.